Afternoon, everybody. So this is our last lesson in topic 11. For reasons I'll get into in class, we're just not going to spend time on the measurement section. The short version is we have apps for that now. There are some things that I want you to know how to convert, but they're really straightforward ones, like know that there's 60 minutes in an hour. But for a lot of the really detailed stuff, we all walk around with things in our pockets that not our best use of time for me to spend that in class. But this one today, we are playing with the idea of converting from distance to rate, distance to time. Okay. And it's because constant speed and this formula, distance equals rate times time, is something you will come across over and over and over again. So it's definitely worth our time. But it is a ratio comparing distance and time. In your PE class, there are some students who take no time at all to run their mile. Like they do it like they barely even broke a sweat. And then there are some students who really put in quality effort, but it takes them longer. And then there are probably those few who don't put in quality effort, and it takes them a really long, kind of surprising time. How far we have to go is directly correlated to how fast we're going and how long we have to get there. That's what we're going to focus on today. Okay. Now, the formula is distance, d, and that's why I defined them all here, equals rate times time. Okay. But we're not always given distance. We can't always just multiply rate and time and get the distance. We're sometimes given other pieces of the puzzle. So the first one, distance, equals rate times time. If I know the rate and the time, I can find the distance. Or distance divided by time, or I'm sorry, I'm going to do this one first. Divided by rate equals the time. Distance divided by how fast I'm going tells me how much longer. It answers that universal question, how much longer? When will we get there? Okay, and then the very last one is if I have the distance and I know the time, I can then figure out the rate. Okay, so if I know the rate and time, I can multiply them together and get the distance. If I know the distance and the rate, I can divide the distance by the rate and find out time. Okay, and we just want to be consistent with minutes and hours. We don't do seconds very often, but I will make a little note here of some of the conversions. If I have distance and time, then I can tell you the rate. Okay, now remember, and I'll do this right here above our examples, and please write this in for yourself. 1 hour is 60 minutes. Okay, and 1 minute is 60 seconds. And if there are any others that we need, I will make sure that I give them to you, have them available for you, things like that. Okay. So let's take a look at an idea. So the first example we're going to do is your aunt. Your aunt drives 45 miles per hour. Okay, I'm going to hope there's a reason for this because 45 is kind of, but on a mountain road, that might be legitimate. Okay. And we want to know how far in 20 minutes. Okay, so over the break, you were in your aunt's car. You can see the speedometer. You know she's going 45. And she says, yep, it's going to take us about 20 minutes to get there. Well, you can figure out how far. Might help you pass the time. Okay, so what we're given is the rate, 45. Okay, and we know that that's in 1 hour. We want to know how far in 20 minutes. Well, we can compare these. I'm going to go 45 miles in 1 hour. How far are we going to go in 20 minutes? Well, what if we compared 45 minutes or 45 miles in 60 minutes to something in 20 minutes? Now we're looking at equivalent ratios. If I simply divide by 3, I would have that equivalent ratio. Okay. So that is going to be 15 miles in 20 minutes. Okay. Now you could also figure out that that's 1/3 of an hour, but we don't do thirds of hours very often. So this is the more common and more useful method. Now, what if it's something like airplanes? Okay. What if we knew that I'm going to fly from Boston to San Francisco, two of my very favorite cities? I would be happy to do that. Okay. And these are pretty good times in this problem. This isn't like weird math book made it up. Okay. It's going to take us 6.5 hours. That would be time. Okay. And using Google Maps or anything else, I could figure out that it's 2,704 miles. That's the distance. The problem wants to know what is the speed or rate. So that's our focus. Okay, and looking farther up in our notes, you can see that if I have the time and I have the distance, I can find the rate. So let's take the distance, 2,704 miles, and divide it by the time. So we're going to have distance divided by time. And that's going to get us the rate. Now, once again, we're getting great practice with basic skills here. Please do not shortcut yourself. Please do not break out a calculator for every little thing when we could get quality practice without whole worksheets or whole assignments. I promise, if we do a bunch of these, I'm going to be the first one to tell you to get out the calculator if you want to double check your work, but don't shortcut yourself on the learning. Okay. So we have 6.5, 2704. I'm going to move that decimal place as I should. Okay. 65 doesn't go into 2 or 27. Oh, but it would go into 270, right? How many times? Well, 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6, 24, 26. Ooh, that was pretty close. Good. We're not even going to get 2 here. So 1 times 65, we'll subtract. 14, that'd be 9. 3, and we still need to bring down the 0. Okay. Let's try a 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6, 39. Don't you love how the math book always does them perfectly? It doesn't happen like this in real life, but I like it about math books. So this means 416 miles per hour is the rate, okay, of your airplane. And if you've ever been on an airplane that has one of the onboard computers where you can watch it, you'll know, yep, that's pretty accurate. Okay? So I look forward to you guys trying a few. I look forward to then helping you in class. Please bring any questions that you have to class so that we can practice and give you more information. I appreciate you, and I will see you soon.